trying to avoid crashing and flares when you have ME is pretty impossible, really. And I think it can be really easy to kind of blame ourselves and think we're doing things wrong. And there is a lot of kind of blame. It feels like that a lot. If you read the literature, it's almost like the blame is on us, that if we're still having post-exertional malaise and we're still having flares, that we're doing something wrong. And actually, that isn't the case at all. Hey folks, it's Finn. Welcome back, lovely people. Thank you for tuning in to another one of my videos. And if you are watching for the very first time, then a massive welcome to my channel and to my videos. I really hope you enjoy them. If you do, please consider subscribing. That would be lovely. And today is a bit of a catch-up really, but I want to talk today about pacing for chronic illness, especially for ME. And with pacing, what I'm talking about is managing energy when you have an energy limiting condition. And I've talked about this a few times. And today I just want to have a bit of a catch up about how it's going. Because I've spent some time over the last year, I suppose, learning various pacing techniques and trying to master the art of pacing. And I just wanted to talk about how it's going, but also just really have a bit of a catch up because I haven't made a video for a couple of weeks, I think. And yeah, I just wanted to say hello, really. And also because I was in Wales, you have to excuse me because I never know time. Time is weird when you have ME because you think like a couple of days have gone past, but actually like a couple of weeks have gone past. So it's been a couple of weeks, I think, since we got back from Wales, or maybe a week or something like that. And I've got loads of footage, and I want to make a vlog of our time in Wales, like a kind of synopsis of our time and share our holiday. There's a fly in here now. That's annoying. And so I want to make two vlogs. I want to make a vlog, kind of like a synopsis of Wales, because I've got so much footage. It would be about 3 hours long if I shared it all. I want to make a general one for everyone to see our time in Wales, and I'm going to make a members vlog as well, so you'll get to see all the behind the scenes. But it's obviously taken me a while to do that, to put it together. And you won't see me for ages if you have to wait for that. So I thought in the meantime, I'd just do a general vlog about how I'm doing and talk a bit about pacing. Because I think what comes up a lot when we talk about pacing, comes up a lot in the comments, comes up a lot, and when we talk about anyone, when we talk about ME, is like how difficult it is to master pacing. But for those people who don't know about ME, and they see us still kind of having crashes, and crashes are when you get post-exertional malaise, or having flares, when you get like a big flare up of symptoms, and they're saying, oh, I thought you were learning pacing, have you not mastered it yet? And actually trying to avoid crashing and flares when you have ME is pretty impossible, really. And I think it can be really easy to kind of blame ourselves and think we're doing things wrong. And there is a lot of kind of blame. It feels like that a lot. If you read the literature, it's almost like the blame is on us, that if we're still having post-exertional malaise and we're still having flares, that we're doing something wrong. And actually, that isn't the case at all. Bear with me, a poodle's appeared. He's had a haircut. Pip, do you want to come and sit up here so everyone can see your gorgeous new do? Or would you like to chase the fly around? Which is likely what's going to happen now, is that they're going to chase the fly. Yes? He looks gorgeous. Do you want to come and show your new poodle do? I know, it's annoying, isn't it, darling? It's really annoying. Can you hear it as much as we can? This fly. You probably can't. You probably think, what's the matter with Finn right now? And with Pip. It's a free toy, isn't it? Flies. Here we go. Woo! almost. Yeah, get it. Hang on, I'm going to try and let it out. Should we let it out? Should we try and set the fly free before you terrorise it? We set the fly free. So where was I? Yes, blaming. So post-exertional malaise is a really bad way to explain what happens, really. It's the hallmark symptom of ME. It's where it's a disproportional response to any exertion, and it often gets mistaken as overdoing things. So, oh, you're overdoing it, so now you're getting extra fatigue and symptoms. But this isn't overdoing it. Overdoing it would be going for like a 5-mile walk or something. You know, that's when people overdo things. But post-exertional malaise can happen for a simple thing like having a shower, you know, brushing your teeth. When you've got like severe ME, post-exertional malaise can happen just for those things. So it's often really unavoidable. You can pace really, really well and still get post-exertional malaise because it is a symptom of ME. It is a symptom. It is just one of those things that you get often regardless of the pacing you do. And the best thing you can hope to do with pacing is to minimize that post-exertional malaise so that you get it happening the least amount as possible and the least severe as possible, and so that when it does happen, you can recover as quick as possible. And that is what I am now successfully managing to do, because it often gets like called boom and bust. So you kind of get blamed that, oh, you're doing too much and then you're crashing. That is what I used to do before I knew I had ME, because I used to get really, really like unwell and like hugely fatigued. And again, fatigue is something that's not really understood, because you think, oh, you're really tired. But it isn't fatigue as in like you're exhausted. You are, but it's fatigue in everything. So muscle fatigue, so your arms and your legs just don't work. They're just heavy and lead and awful. Your lungs don't work properly, so it's hard to breathe. Your heart doesn't work properly, so it struggles to pump oxygen around. Your brain doesn't work properly. You're fatiguing all your cognitive symptoms. Your whole body is fatigued in a way that, you know, this is why post-exertional malaise doesn't explain it really properly. It's that kind of fatigue. And I would be having this all the time. He's crashed out behind me, bless him. And then it would go on for a couple of weeks. I wouldn't be able to do anything. And then magically I'd feel okay. So then I'd think, right, I feel fine now. I need to catch up on all my work. And then I'd do too much. That would be my boom. And then I'd bust again because I didn't know what was going on. So that was boom and bust. But since I've known I have ME and I've been stopping doing that, it's no longer boom and bust. That's the difference. So now when I'm having post-exertional malaise, it is in response to just everyday activities. And that's what it is, you know. I came back from Wales and I had a few days of post-exertional malaise. We did a lot in Wales, granted. We did do a lot of sightseeing. But again, you know, on social media, you see lots of my lovely pictures where I'm out and about everywhere. But, you know, again, I'm very visible on social media, but you don't see the times in between where I'm having lots of sleeps in between to look after myself, where a lot of this sightseeing is done by car, where I'll be asleep, we'll stop, we'll get out of a car, take a few pictures, and that's it. So it looks like I'm in a beautiful place, but I've actually just got out of a car and taken some pictures, you know. So my life is very managed like that, where I'm very careful about what I do still, but still I get post-exertional malaise. What actually caused a lot of my crash when I came back from Wales was on our last day, as you'll see when I show you the vlog, is we ended up having a yellow weather warning on our last day. So we had like huge wind and rain, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, our trailer tent was rocking, and not for pleasurable reasons. And so we were awake from 2 o'clock in the morning. The puppy was fine, but we were terrified that the whole trailer tent was going to like tip over or something, and it was blowing all our camping furniture over, and water was coming up from underneath, so we didn't sleep. And of course the stress of that and the noise of that, and then having to really rush to pack up, all the pacing kind of went out the window. And that is what kind of tipped me over the edge, unfortunately. So any pacing I'd done up until that point was kind of undone. So the unplanned things that happen like that, you know, that didn't really help. So yeah, I mean, I think it's really helpful to kind of remember this when you kind of look at people who've got ME and they're pacing, and then you still see them crashing and you think, oh, what are they doing wrong? They're not. It's part of our condition that for all the best intentions, we can do our best, but unexpected events and just part of our condition that we will still crash and we will still have flares because the weather changes, you know, we have a different night's sleep. Our mood's low. All of these different changes in our environment, in things that happen around us, getting some mail, getting a letter in the post that upsets us. You know, these things can make all of a difference. At the moment, I'm having this therapy, this tapping thing. I need to make a video about this. I keep saying that is just so hugely stressful, and that's having an impact. I'm constantly going on new tablets to try and manage this pain. That affects my nervous system and affects my post-exertional malaise. I'm still seeing an occupational therapist. That hour on the phone to her exhausts me, and then putting in the homework that I have to do after that. Puppy, you know, life. So unless you're in a sterile container and you're pacing, there's no perfect way to pace. There really isn't. So you're never gonna ever pace and avoid post-exertional malaise. All we can ever really do is our best and minimize post-exertional malaise as best we can. Now, I have limited my work now so that I am really doing the bare minimum. I could stop completely, but if I do, my mental health will suffer, and if my mental health suffers, that affects my post-exertional malaise, you know? So I'm doing only the very low stress work, no deadline work. And you could also say, okay, that with all this other stuff going on, the occupational therapy and the EFT tapping, just don't go out on any holidays for a year until you've done all of that. I'm 50 next year. I can't just limit my life and say, okay, I'm not going to go on holiday with Chris. We just won't go away. What about our lives, you know? And if I put off saying, okay, I won't do anything until I've done this for a year, who's to say that at the end of that year, something else isn't going to be happening, you know? One moment. So yeah, I just really wanted to say this to kind of help people who don't know about ME to understand why people who are pacing are still having crashes, post-exertional malaise and flares, and why people who have ME and are trying their best are not failing, you know, and we shouldn't feel shamed by people. When we go to the doctor and say, oh, well, are you not using your pacing techniques then? Yes, I am. But life still happens. Stress still happens. ME still happens. And this is part of my condition. And we shouldn't feel like made to feel ashamed that something that is an inherent part of our condition, even to our best intentions when we try to manage it, we still get one of the key symptoms that's just not going to go away, you know. It's impossible to avoid post-exertional malaise completely. I don't know anybody who has ME that completely avoids post-exertional malaise completely. I'm really impressed the way now that I can minimize it as much as I can. Of late, I have had lots of crashes recently, especially since these arm issues have been happening, especially since going on the new pain meds, you know, naproxen that I'm now on every day causes me to flare up in other ways. So I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I have occasional time off naproxen to let my body recover because it messes up my gut, basically. And the gabapentin is doing things to me that are making me flare and crash in other ways. So I'm not quite sure that's going to be a long-term solution, you know. And the therapy is really helping in some ways, but it's also not in other ways, you know. So these are causing crashes. Pip is now getting much more manageable. Because, of course, he was causing me to crash in the beginning, but he's also improved my mental health. So it is such a balancing act with managing ME, managing post-exertional malaise, and managing crashes and flares. It really is. What are we at? 16 minutes. I always look at that as if I'm really magically going to manage going over 20 minutes or something, but you know me. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to say today, really, because I think it's a really important thing to note, especially when people see me on social media, you know, always out and about doing things, and they think, wow, how does he manage it? Don't forget, there's lots of times you don't see behind the scenes where I am either flaked out or having lots of rest periods. And lots of these times where you see me in beautiful places, they are by car, where I've just been having lots of naps in the car so I can then afford 5 minutes out of the car being in scenery. You know, it's really important to bear in mind that that's just social media, and to then, you know, not compare ourselves to others. And I always really want to stress that. You know, I will have times where I'm out in my wheelchair for, say, half an hour to an hour. But then there are other times where my scenery and my out and about is via car, and then brief, sometimes just stepping outside the car door, hanging onto the car door, taking a couple of pictures, then getting back in and just having coffee and cake inside the car and not going anywhere, you know, depending on what I need in order to take care of myself. So always do bear that in mind as well. You know, we can often compare ourselves to others and think, oh, you know, they're managing to do this and they look okay. You know, we've got to be so careful, haven't we? If we're still having crashes and we think, oh, what am I doing wrong? We're doing the best we can, and that's what's important. And don't let anybody else shame us or make us feel bad. This is the condition we have. This is what we have to manage, and we're doing the best we can. So, yes. So that's it from me this week. I just wanted to get a video out to you just to say, hi, here's my face, here I am. And I promise I will get this Wales vlog to you soon. As I said, there'll be a general public video of a kind of synopsis of our wonderful week in Wales. And there'll be a members video as well, which is a kind of behind the scenes of the last kind of month and including Wales as well. It's coming to you soon. Pip, do you want to come and say hello? Because I'd really like to show them your new cut. Come on, because you've had a lovely haircut. He's very tired because it's getting a bit hot. But look, come and look. What's that? Oh, look at him. He's had a lovely haircut. And Chris keeps saying, don't make him look too much like a poodle. So we've gone a little bit in between, haven't we? Yeah, he says, Daddy, let me go to sleep. Look, you're supposed to be like on camera being all diva. He says, but Daddy, I'm not. It's too hot. It is. We've got a heat wave this week, and he's already feeling it. He feels it really quickly, don't you, darling? Pip! Where's Daddy Chris? Is he coming back soon? Yeah? Yeah. Okay, so we'll leave it there. Look at his face, look at him. Pip! Are you a gorgeous boy? Are you a gorgeous boy? Oh yeah, can you believe he's 9 months old now? You're a big boy, aren't you? Getting to be a big boy. Yeah. Are you a fluffy boy? Right then. Right. Take care of yourselves, everybody. Have a lovely rest of week. If I get this up in the week, if I get it up at the weekend, have a lovely weekend. And I'll see you soon. Take care. So talking